welcome back to Serious About Rugby League. We're going to have a quick little discussion today about bringing back the shoulder charge, or as I said, bring back the BIS behind us there. Has it really changed much? There's been quite a few, there's still quite a few high shots out there. The NRL are looking at considering changing the rule, as long as obviously no contact with the head. I think that's obviously the player welfare issue. A few weeks ago in the NRL, St George fullback Matt Duffy, he made a last-ditch shoulder charge challenge to prevent a try. The officials awarded a penalty, not a penalty try. They didn't send Duffy off, and then he escapes any further punishment, with the NRL head of football Graham Ansley saying, "I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that this type of tackle will necessarily be banned." Ben, do you think we should bring it back?
Well, I see no reason why not, as long as it doesn't start becoming a major issue. And was it really a major issue before we got rid of it? I mean, it was maybe getting towards it, but we weren't at the point of the game's in crisis because of the shoulder charge, you know. And obviously we have a lot of fans out there who are massively pro the shoulder charge. Normally the fans of the early noughties, maybe, when it really started to come in. The likes of Sonny Bill started to, around the 2010 mark, we started to see him, and I think the fans loved it, didn't they? And that's the big thing. It was attractive for people to go to a game and see big hits. It's what rugby league's about, really. And I think we can bring it back, but again, like I say, it all comes down to player welfare. I think I'm more towards bringing it back in a controlled environment.
Yeah, I think that there's two major issues with the sort of shoulder charge, isn't there? There's that moment where if you're going to shoulder charge the halfback when he's releasing the ball on the turn, obviously because you square up your hits to the defence, you're releasing the ball at the back, you leave yourself massively vulnerable. If somebody comes in with the shoulder that low, right under the ribs, because of the relaxed nature of your body, you're a serious chance to get cracked ribs, fractured ribs, sort of things like that. That's a serious issue, and that's probably where most of the wariness from the RFL came from, and from the NRL, and that's maybe why this rule got brought in. Not so much the heavy tackles that were sort of shoulder on shoulder, where everybody sort of stands up and roars. I always remember the Thomas Lulawai tackle on Fatsafaloo, which was a shoulder charge in its time.
I hit that one.
Straight to the ribs. Which is one of them that obviously he wasn't an halfback, so it wasn't that he wasn't free. He was running the ball and he just went straight under the ribs.
Yeah.
Knocked the wind straight out of him, had to get the oxygen onto the pitch and stuff. But for me, that is rugby, like two hard lads running straight at each other that want to hurt each other. And people say, "Oh, there's never any malice in rugby." Rubbish. When you're in an amateur changing room, you talk about malice in tackles. You want to hurt your opponent. You don't want to tickle them and then let them score a try. You want to hurt them and get the ball back and score yourself. That is rugby. That's the beauty of rugby. You look at rugby union, for example. I think that's something that we are doing. We're sort of like the game's sort of adapted back, because obviously we've got all these assets of rugby league that we're trying to take away from rugby union. So we're like quicking up the scrum, get rid of lineouts, quick taps instead of scrums and stuff. But in terms of the tackling technique, rugby union have always been that way. Like, you can't shoulder charge, you can't throw your body into the tackle, you have to have controlled tackles. And I just feel like our sort of defending technique is going back to like the traditional rugby union tackle. And for me, that's not what rugby league's about. Rugby league's about that 10 yards, 20 yards that you create between each other to make a massive collision. And that's how you make tackles in rugby, whereas obviously in rugby union it's a yard, 2 yards, and that's why the collisions aren't as high.
It's kind of what Graham Ansley was referring to, saying that he's trying to prevent the head-on collision, but with coming from the side, it's more just a glance and blow on the side and a head-on collision. That we're seeing now, and I think the time's right. I think you're saying. I think the fans seem to want to bring this back. I think looking like we want to as well. Yeah.
I just think how many more injuries have been prevented because the rules in place, and I don't think there's that many. And you mentioned before we started how many more high tackles have been prevented. Is a high tackle count lower now than it was 3 years ago when we had it? 4 years ago when we had it? It's
how many tackles are actually in a game when it wasn't banned were shoulder charges? It wasn't many, was it? And even now when a player wants to do a shoulder charge, they're going to do one. Yeah. And then they occasionally just bring their arm round and they get away with it.
And the thing is as well, like as you said, there's not that many tackles that are shoulder charges, because as a defender, if you're going to commit to a shoulder charge and you miss completely, then you consider a try.
Yeah, you missed the tackle.
It's safer for a defender to defend with his line and do a control tackle than it is to do a shoulder charge.
I think it's more
just the excitement thing.
It is, yeah. It's a player returning the ball from a goal line dropout. There's one with Sam Burgess. I think the shoulder charge is probably in place at this point, but there was one when he returned from a dropout. Can't remember who it was against, maybe the Bulldogs years ago, and he steamrolled in. He just like full pelt, didn't slow down at any point. I think one of the tacklers was actually Sam Cassiano's at Cartlands now. He went in. It was just a full-on collision. The fans loved it, and after that game, that's what they were all talking about. And I just think we need more of that in the game. We need,
Talk about the best forwards in England, and the ones that give the big hits. The Stuart Fieldings, the JV Peacocks, the Adrian Morris, the ones that got stuck in with massive hits and massive runs. And
it's tremendous to watch.
That's what you remember. That's Rugby League.
And if we bring it back before the NRL do, then I get Sonny Bill Williams. He'll be in.
That's what we've already getting for next year.
Yeah.
So I mean, I take it they went too far by banning it. I mean, I think there was an issue with a lot of head-on collisions with the shoulder charge. I think they just went the full fault. Let's just get rid. Player welfare issue.
Yeah, I do think you can. Obviously, you've got those issues where people are jumping out and they're making direct contact with the head, and that is an issue. But you could also look back and think. The one that always springs to mind to me is the Warrington World Club Series game. Was it against Brisbane? It might have been the year before against St George, where somebody jumped out the line and swung their arm and just.
Oh, it was St George. Kev Penny, was it?
Caught Kev Penny on the cheek, but like, what's less dangerous about that than would be a shoulder charge? You know what I mean?
Swinging arm like that.
Swinging arm like that is going to make direct contact with the head.
Probably see less swinging arms if we brought it back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
I think they have to speak to the player. I think the players have their own little unions now as well, don't they? I think they have to speak to them. I'm not sure how the players feel about this, but I'm sure I have heard some saying they'd be happy to bring the shoulder charge back. But some still actually use it, don't they? Get penalised. But
I think one of the best games I've ever seen was the New Zealand Samoa game at Halliwell Jones.
Best game I've ever seen. Never mind. But yeah, fantastic.
And what do you remember from that game? It's the big hits, innit?
Yeah.
So Samoa getting right in the face of New Zealand, making it a contest.
Or impishly, Sean Sonny Bill there slipping over the line.
Yeah,
fantastic. But the hits in that game were just unbelievable. There was some real scores being set in that game.
You only have to rewind to the Challenge Cup semi-final and look at Halifax. And obviously they did it in a more controlled style, but some of those hits were incredible, and it just proves that even if you had the shoulder charge, people would still put big hits in that weren't shoulder charges.
Of course, yeah.
There'd be massive. It wouldn't be a massive thing. There wouldn't be many more tackles that were going in, and I just think it was a health and safety concern that went mad.
Yeah, they went too far. I think
they were too worried about the little things to think about. Maybe you can talk about controlling it in a way that you don't teach. You ban it from competitions for like under 18s, so that they learn how to control tackle first before they start charging into each other. But I feel for the grown men, it should be fine.
Yeah. So I mean, I think reading between the lines, it looks like the NRL are ready to bring it back. I take it. I take it that would just be a rule for the NRL. It wouldn't necessarily be tied to that, or would this be an international rule?
Well, as far as I know, we're not discussing it yet, are we? So,
no.
But
I'd
basically copy everything they
exactly.
do anyway.
This is the annoying thing now, because they banned it first and we banned it on the back of them.
Yeah.
And they're going to bring it back, and we're going to have to have this conversation we are literally just copying the NRL.
We don't
just have the same rules.
We don't want to bring it back February the 1st next year. This needs to be.
We should just. This decision should just be made already.
Well, anyway, that's what the guys think. Like I said, we do get the feeling across social media that the fans want to see this back, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd particularly like to hear from people that don't think it should be brought back. I think the rule's right and it should be outlawed in the game. But let us know in the comments, or you look at our social media. But as always, please like the page and hit that notification bell. Thanks very much. Cheers.